is. It's Wednesday, 11 o'clock. Roadblock removal for speakers and coaches. We have an amazing guest for you today. We're going to talk, Lord knows what we're going to talk about, but she empowers women going through changes to go farther and do better. Rather than let me explain it, why don't I bring up the absolutely fabulous, and here's 100% truth that I'm giving to the audience. I didn't ask her how to pronounce her last name, so I'm going to wing it and see if it really works. I'm going to say, welcome, Teresa Lisum.
Okay, it is Lisum, a long I.
50-50 shot, and I blew it.
That's okay.
Right. I will not be placing any bets in Vegas today.
That's fine. So thanks so much for having me here, Ray. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's fabulous to have you here. We met in a networking group and had a great conversation out of that. So I'm expecting nothing but the greatness. We'll also discuss something that I've never experienced, and I keep meaning to go to yours, but your giggle gatherings, which is something that we can bring up as well. So let's talk about what you're doing. I know you've got. I'm going to put the link to something that she has. It's fabulous out there. It's up on YouTube, and let me just put that in there. Oh, and if you're watching, you want to join us, joinraylive.com. Simple. Come in here. You can ask questions. I put the link to her YouTube channel about empowering women series that she's got there. Talk about that.
Thanks so much, Ray. So I have a YouTube series / podcast called Evolving Women, where I get to interview or chat with. I don't really interview, but just like what we're doing here, I get to chat with amazing people such as you're doing, although I do focus on women, and I meet them in different places just as you do. And I just get to highlight them and let the world see what amazing things they're doing and how they've progressed on their journey and evolved, because I really believe we're all evolving. Every single day I'm evolving. We're all evolving, going up higher and higher, creating better and better versions of ourselves. So I like to highlight these women so other women can see other journeys and not think that they're all alone. And, it's just them that are going through these certain changes or transitions or phases, but we're all doing it just in our own way, and we can all do it together. So we like to offer tips and resources and that kind of stuff. So
there's no reason in the world we have today for people to go through things alone. Mm-hmm. And there is and all the pain that happens, I think, to people is inside here.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Alone. Yeah. And when we're in the presence of others, things seem brighter, they seem better, and we reach out and connect. I just love the fact that one group I'm part of, I'm dealing with these people. They are absolutely amazing. And when I hear them talk, I get to hear the same problems that I have. I go, oh, these amazing people have problems too.
Yeah. I think sometimes we put people on a pedestal and we compare ourselves to them, and they're at a different point in their journey. And we have no business doing that, but we do it. That's just how we were brought up. And we don't need to do that because they are dealing with their own stuff. And it's just our stories, as you said, in our own head, where we create this narrative, this scenario that they're better than us. They've got it all figured out. Like they know all the solutions to every problem in the world, and we don't, that kind of thing.
And one of the things I know you focus on is taking people who are in transition, right? So let's talk about kind of like the evolution of transition. How do you take that? How do you help people through something that they're going through?
Well, I have a coaching process where I shine a light on people's superpowers, as I like to call them, or the strengths that all of us have. We use them innately. They're really easy to us. We just don't realize that they're anything special. And we think that everybody has these same innate strengths, which we do in some variations, but every single one of us has our own zone of genius, that we are the best version of ourselves, the most authentic when we're operating from that zone of genius. So basically, I just shine a light on somebody's zone of genius and help them really clarify and bring to their awareness that this is special to them, and they can take these superpowers, again, as I reference them, and leverage them in any area of their lives. So if they're going through some kind of a transition, if they have that knowledge and that awareness of what they're really good at, and be able to use that and focus that into their transition and help them see the next step, or help them get a little bit of clarity of where they could go next. So if somebody's at retirement phase in that transition, they don't know where to go, they've lost their identity, their purpose has changed, because our identities are typically attached to what we do in our job or our career, right? So once that's gone, like many of us, we're floundering, we don't know where to go from that point on. So I've talked to lots of women who are just like in this phase of, I don't know what to do. So just knowing what they're strong in can kind of give them some direction and some path to follow. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I don't think that the amazing thing is that you need confirmation of your superpowers from someone else. But what we don't do is we don't listen to hear it.
Right. Well, and we, like you said, we got this crap in our head that we've been telling ourselves.
Hang on 1 second, Teresa. I keep hearing there's a little bit of static on your mic, I think. Because it started getting crackly, and then it kind of died down. Do you hear it, or is that just me?
I'm not hearing anything. So am I good now?
No, it got worse.
Oh, I haven't done anything. It's just, I wonder if there's something in the connection.
Do me a favor. Exit out, exit back in. I'll talk for a little while, and we'll just bring you right back in. And
okay,
go
so sorry.
No worries. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of continue on about this idea of hearing what people say about how great you are. It takes a while for people to get that through their heads. I know it happened to me, but really listen when people pay you a compliment. Thank them for the compliment. Don't shy away from the compliment, because it's what they truly believe. Very few people compliment for evil instead of good. They really mean something about it. And let's see if it works now. Hey there.
Is this better? Testing.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I'm sorry. I have a little scratchy throat. I keep it lubricated so that I don't start coughing. I'm just kind of finishing up from that. So
that's absolutely okay. I was kind of expanding on the tip. I call it your native genius, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, I chose not to listen to compliments. And we poo them. We try. We got to be humble.
Yep.
If somebody pays you a compliment, there's very few people that compliment for evil instead of good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when you hear that, that's something that's heartfelt from somebody that they're really really mean about you. And keep track of those things.
Mm-hmm.
When you are creating time to transition, especially an entrepreneur's journey is all transition basically.
Yep.
And what is it that people routinely say about you that you can use to set apart yourself? And it's really what makes it important. For years, I had to get over a stand-up comics mindset, basically. And what that is that I just talk for a living. Nobody wants to pay for that. And if I go in with $25 in my pocket, tell a couple of jokes, have a couple of beers, and walk out with $37, that's a great night.
It's a win. Yeah.
Everybody can do that, but not everybody can. And one of the things I think it's great for entrepreneurs and people who are transitioning into anything is talk to the people that have experienced you and say, what is it about me that that you got from our working together, or that you got from our relationship? I've gotten some of the greatest answers in the last year that I now use when I explain what I do. And one of the people I've worked with, a guy named Joseph Martins, I said, what's in my head that you would love to have in yours? And he said, I love the way that you are acceptably unusual. And for an entrepreneur, that's what you really have to do and be to get noticed. There's 8 billion people on the planet,
Yes.
and there's probably 100,000 at least doing what you do. And we
Mhm.
don't think that we're special, but you don't want to be that special, because then nobody needs to hire you.
Well, I mean, you could do that, and yes, we are infinitely unique. That's a phrase we like to use in the strengths world. But let me just share with it, because sharing this whole strengths, this whole superpower concept can sometimes be a little daunting. So I have my unique zone of genius. And you said, do you really need somebody to tell you what your superpowers are? Well, yes, we do, because we make up these stories about ourselves. We don't see the forest because of the trees. Am I saying that right? Because all these things are in your way that you just have accepted your whole life. So like, I am a dominant relationship builder. I love connecting with people. People energize me. But I'm also a strategic thinker, and I know this because I understand my strengths, my superpowers. So a strategic thinker spends time processing and thinking and learning and planning. So it all takes place right here. So I have to learn to balance both of those. If I get too many people connecting time, too much people connect, then I love it, I'm amped up, but then I need to balance it with my own alone thinking time, processing time. And if those two are out of balance, then I'm just not good to anybody. Like, that's not the best version of myself. But it took me, I had to get to a place of understanding where I got clarity on that, because I was able to dig into my strengths and my zone of genius and understand myself better. So what I'm offering, I've used the Gallup Strengths Assessment as my starting point. And once you have more clarity, which is what personal development is all about, you're getting more clarity on yourself, so you can step into that best version. You can evolve up to that next level. So yes, you can, you said, like, how could you not know them? Well, I didn't know mine until it was clear to me. It was pointed out, and it was by a third party that was not contaminated with my own emotional baggage that I carried with me my entire life. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And it really is so interesting that we're blind to our own amazingness.
Exactly. You're exactly right. We don't want to admit up. We don't want to own up to it. We are amazing individuals, but we don't allow ourselves to. Because of society, societal things, the way we were brought up, the public school system, like, all of those contribute to that, those layers and layers and layers of stuff that are not serving us in any way.
Well, one thing that's amazing me, and the sound problems are coming back, but we're just gonna go through it and see if we can wipe it out somehow later. But the fact that everybody I know has some sort of mindset thought, and some sort of I went to this person to teach me this mindset stuff, and we don't teach mindset. We don't teach credit cards in high school.
Yeah.
So,
Those life skills that, they're not getting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like the society would be so much better and easier if we did. and we'd actually save a lot of money by doing things like that with people. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
No, I'm totally in agreement with you on that.
Yeah.
We're focused on the wrong things, and I can speak because I was a school teacher for a very long time, so I know what goes on inside the system.
Wow, yeah, and it's so important to, the mindset without the skill set, or the skill set without the mindset, is very upsetting. So
Yeah.
it's this balance that we seek. Yet always the things up here are not the things that we talk about that need to go well. I think there are so many. One of the reasons that so many entrepreneurs fail is that they think that their superpowers are not valuable.
Right.
Because it's so easy for us to do. And we all should be doing these things that are easy for us to do.
Exactly. We should be sharpening those things that come easy and are fun for us instead of the opposite.
100%. And it would save time for others. It would make the world a better place.
Oh my gosh. Certainly would be a better place. Yeah. I've come a long way in my life. I've done a lot of different things. I've expanded. I've changed my mind. I've expanded my comfort. These are things that I had to do to unlayer everything I've learned as a younger person. To this point in my life to let go of all that. So I would love younger generations get this and learn this early on. I don't have to spend life trying to get
It's amazing how at age 16, I think that's when a boy is the smartest person on the planet, right? And they know everything. And every year after that, you learn more and more, and you understand that you know less and less.
Yeah. The more you know, you don't know.
And it's incredible that you have to live through life to kind of, we have to learn to stop caring what other people think about us.
Yes. And the sooner you learn that, the better. I have an 8-year-old. Excuse me. She's 11. The oldest one is a granddaughter who's now starting mean things, and I'm just praying. I set an example, and I words of wisdom, like, it doesn't matter what other people think of you. This is you. Stand your line with your true self, and disregard peer pressure. That's just a thing. But I still hate to see it.
This is a side question because the sound's getting really, really, really bad now. Do you have a second microphone that might be on?
No, I have. Let me see. Can I change it inside? I know there was a change before I jumped on. I checked my mic, and it was coming across fine.
Do you see the button at the bottom that says settings? Do you see any of that?
I see mute, stop cam, studio. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. It was right.
Settings and go into audio and see what you're using.
Let's try this. Oh no, that's not letting me. Okay, let me go over to my.
Okay, is this any better?
Oh yes, that is.
Okay, I changed it over to just my laptop.
Okay, because I was
sorry.
I was so getting into what you're saying, and then it got to a point where I couldn't fully understand what you're saying.
I so apologize. I don't know. Usually this mic works really good, so I don't know what's going on.
It's the sticky loop of life there. So
of technology, yeah.
Absolutely. Because I did a whole presentation to a group of entrepreneurs about I called it the entrepreneurial conundrum. And the 3 things that I say that you have to master are your native genius. So you have to understand that what you do is better, stronger, faster than everybody else. You do it better, you do it faster, and you believe that what you do 100% is transformational. And if you believe that, then the two other things that you have to control are your communication skills, which are different. There's many different ones. You have written, you have oral, you have one-to-one, you have one-to-many, you have live, you have virtual. And so there's factors on that. So that's a lot of stuff to master. You've got to be good at it, and you've got to understand that you can't waste people's time and do things with it. And then the third thing is your people skills. And we were talking about, you were mentioning something about the constant learning, where the more I know, the less I understand. That is a component of charisma. And everybody that's charismatic has that thought, childlike awe and wonder about life, things in general, a genuine concern for others. And the four other things that I put in it, there's about 17 things. I really broke it down one time, but this spells chic, so it's kind of stayed in. Your confidence, your humor, your ability to influence, and your charisma, or your communication skills are pieces of that. And most of that, all of that, is teachable and learnable.
I was just going to say, many of those are learnable skills. But I love your phrase, native genius. That, I don't think that is not teachable or learnable. I think that is just another way of saying zone of genius that I like to focus on. And that's how I'm understanding it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we all have that native genius that is just our gift. It was our gift that we came in with, our gifts that we came in with, our way of thinking, our way of interacting with the world. And that is just special to and unique to us. But we can add all those other skills in there to create this beautiful package that is us. But I think that native genius is not something that we could learn. What do you think of that?
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because I think is that your native genius is learned through a lifetime of something that you totally enjoy. And for example, I was the shyest kid known to mankind.
That is hard to believe.
And I used to walk inside the safety of my mom's wraparound skirt and wear that. So that part was there because I was the youngest kid by 3 and 4 years. And so my brother and sister were always good and active, no matter how I tried to be. So I couldn't be as good at them as anything. So I just kind of shied in. But add on to that, at the very first open house in school, like kindergarten or first grade or whatever, my mom had the wraparound skirt. One of my teachers, Mrs. Carrillo, wore the same wraparound skirt as my mom. And from where I stood, it looked the same. I walked in the wrong skirt. Right?
Oh, I knew that was coming.
And I will never forget the sound Mrs. Carrillo made. Woo! When I did that.
Oh, that is funny.
But when I came out, guess what? Everybody's laughing at me.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I had to have somebody show me what was inside of me that I didn't know. And that was my 5th grade teacher. And he pulled me aside the second day of class and he said, because I had one friend, I only talked to one person at school. And he pulled me aside and he said, I know who you really are, but don't worry, your secret's safe with me.
Oh, love that.
And I said, what? He said, well, you sit next to Dan and you whisper things to Dan and Dan tells them to the class. Well, Dan is the class clown. You're the class clown's head writer. And I liked that, right? He told other kids that I was funny, and other kids would come up and say, Mr. Huber says you're funny. Say something funny. And I did, apparently, because now I had like 5 or 6 friends. And most teachers would go, look what I did. I changed this kid's life. He said, no, let's go big or go home, right? And middle of the year, we're going to do a school play, and you didn't audition, but don't worry, I saved your role. Right? He put me in the lead of the school play.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Scared the crap out of me.
I bet.
And
I bet.
it was like a cartoon character. My jaw dropped down and my eyes bugged out. If I'd been a crocodile, you hit me in the nose, I would have turned into 5 pieces of luggage, right? He took me under his wing, and I now knew everybody in the class. But here's the thing: there's a big difference between 30 kids that you know and 217 proud parents and their hyperkinetic kids sitting in those squeaky folding chairs, right? And the right before the school play, I kind of wigged out and I said, I'm going to be sick tomorrow. Tomorrow's school play. And he goes, yeah. You don't want to get the other kids sick. That wouldn't be fair to them. I was using his language against him.
Yeah.
And then he pulled me aside and he said, so do you feel, he asked me the weirdest question. He goes, do you feel a thumping in your chest? I said, yeah, I'm probably having a heart attack. You can't hear a school play having a heart attack. And then he gave me the best piece of advice I ever heard. He said, that thumping in your chest, it's not your heart, Ray. That's your dreams.
Oh, wow.
The bigger the thump, the bigger the dream.
Oh my God. Wow.
And he said, you're going to feel that the rest of your life. And every time you feel that, don't you ever fear it, face it, walk toward it. And the next day I'm doing the school play, and it's a Shakespeare play. There's 2 lines left in the school play. And I'm the only one on stage, right? I have no idea what those 2 lines are. And I'm sitting there, and I remember thinking, my mom said, you looked like you wanted to cry. And I remember thinking, should I cry here? Because adults are very sympathetic when you cry. And then that's when I realized I felt that thumping in my head. This is what he's talking about. And so I just smiled and I walked toward the audience and I said, the first thing that came to my mind, and I said, Lord Shakespeare has written tremendous lines to end tonight's play, but alas, what they are, I know not. And I bowed.
Genius.
And he dropped the curtain, and I thought, oh my God, I could hear laughter. And I remember thinking at first, I'd go, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I thought, oh my God, it wasn't a comedy. Did I ruin his play? And he came up and he hugged me and he said, you didn't freeze. Now you're free.
Oh, wow. What a wise man.
Yeah. And if I tell that story live in front of an audience, I'll end it by saying, I'm proud to say I haven't shut up since, basically. but so I had the biggest problem with shyness. I had the connecting with people. And what's happened is through the years with who I've been around, I have learned how to do that. And I can walk into a room and connect instantly. I can control a room within minutes with it. But I didn't realize that that was a superpower. And what I did, so I went from stand-up comedy into sales. And I thought I just got lucky and I was just, met the right people at the right time and said the right things. And then I became a sales manager and my teams were always at the top of the list and everything like that. And I just thought I had these people. When I realized I was taking the stuff that I learned in stand-up comedy that you don't really think about or see. Like I had to go into Rock Springs, Wyoming and talk bikers out of pool cues. And I had 5 minutes for their to do it before the show. And I had to get them to like it and like the fact that I got them to stop their games. And I could do that. And I didn't know if that would work. I didn't know if anybody would buy that. I did seminars and I worked for a seminar company and I using my stuff under their bracket. A highly requested speaker for them. And then I realized, oh my God, I could actually break it down and I can teach people how to connect.
Okay.
And, for example, and I talk about this a lot, when you meet a friend versus meeting a stranger, one of the biggest differences is your friends make statements and strangers ask questions.
Hmm.
So if you if you look at that in a retail environment, because one of my first jobs was as a retail sales manager, I forbid people from saying, "Can I help you?" Because the answer to "Can I help you?" is I'm just looking.
Yep.
If you think about how to greet somebody's situation, if you came to a party at my house and didn't know anybody, but a friend of yours said, "Hey, go to Ray's house," and you don't know me, and you come in. If I came in and said, "Oh, Teresa, great to have you. Put your coat over there. There's food in the kitchen. The keg's out back. Mix yourself a drink. Do whatever. What do you want to do? Let me know if you can't find anything. Just happy to have you here." Okay, great. But if I came up to you and said, "Can I help you?"
Yep. That's so true.
Instant wall. And so I had people say, "I'll let you buy that." And what happens when you say, "I'll let you buy that"? Everybody does the same thing. "Well, I bet you would. But while you're here, let me ask you a question." So we've bypassed that awkward moment, and now we've created this familiarity of friendship. And when you ask questions, you put this wall up between you and your potential customer, your potential person you want to meet. You're making people think, who are you? Why are you here? How long are you going to stay? Are you friend or foe? And the statement takes that out of play, and people will think they already know you.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And there's a million little things like that add up to creating quicker connections, having almost like instant intimacy, and sharing a common ground. On Zoom, I don't come on and say, "Hey, Teresa, how are you?" Right? I'll say, "Man, so it looks like you got sun oils in the back." And this is just a little thing that I didn't know I was doing, but then I broke it down and said, "Okay, so this is how I learned how to do that." And people who are funny, I think. So one of the things that I've kind of noticed is that the best salesmen that I ever had, a lot of them are the youngest in their families.
Interesting.
Because the youngest person can't beat up the older brother or sister. They have to out-talk the older brother and sister into, winning your point of view over with mom.
Right.
And so I found an inordinate amount of younger children as top salespeople.
Oh, that is such a great observation. But yeah, I love what you just said. But I do want to point out this brilliant, what was he, 5th grade teacher? This brilliant, wise man who sounds like it set the trajectory for your future life and career. It took an outside person, somebody outside your head, to pull that out of you. So
100%.
that's where I'm coming from. I'm that outside person as well that can pull that from you, or I know what you're thinking, or whatever he said to you at that beginning point. Like, I know who you really are, but it just takes that little crack, I guess, of letting the light in, of somebody else noticing, or somebody else showing you the way, bringing you the light onto yourself so that you can go and run with it. So yeah, I love that story. That if you hadn't connected with that man, if you had a different 5th grade teacher, you may be in a totally different place right now.
Oh, in 4th grade, I had to have a parent-teacher conference because I called my 4th grade teacher a witch.
Ooh.
And she was like, it was English based, and when they brought me in, I'm going, what did I do? And they brought that up. Well, I used her words, because she said, "Well, which witch am I? Is it WHICH or WHITCH?" And the amazing thing is, so good salespeople, people who are comedians, they see all the pieces.
Yeah.
And what I would say is they focus on the logic of the word, not the logic of the idea. And what you do is, that's how you find ways into conversations, to solutions, because you are seeing all the pieces and how you can use them, versus what is painted as the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
in my head, I'm thinking of the strengths that I can hear you're bringing forth based on my knowledge of strengths. Um, so I'm thinking like strategic ideation. Those are people that can see these patterns and see these different things come together. Um, so it's just funny when I hear somebody talking in my head, I'm thinking of all of their superpowers. And I was going to go in some other direction, but I don't know where my brain was going. So I guess I'll have to stop there.
well, so what's the best, if people want to figure out and look at their superpowers and have you kind of take them and highlight them for you? Because I think everybody, it's wonderful to have somebody say, oh my God, you do this so well and you do that so well. Accept it, say thank you, nod, smile, say thank you. I think it takes years for people to be able to do that too.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Oh no, I'm not. And
Yeah. Graciously accept that compliment and that. Yeah.
I had a past girlfriend that I said, man, you look fantastic. And she was like, oh no. It's like, oh. So, but what happens when you say that to somebody else? They're saying, basically you're saying, well, I have poor judgment then, huh?
Yeah, that's a good point. You're like deflecting their genuine, heartfelt compliment. It's almost like, yeah, disrespecting them.
Yeah, I'm in it with you. I came here because you were a blue light and I was a bug, and something like that attracted me. Now, don't tell me I'm wrong.
Right. That's a really good point.
You're going to give me self-doubt now,
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
But yeah, people can connect with me. Just my name, Teresa Lisum. I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah. Again, I don't know why I'm starting to lose my focus, embarrassingly so. But yeah, I'm easy to find. Just look up my name.
And here, let me throw this theory at you and see what you think about this. I believe that no one has weaknesses.
Correct. I am totally with you 100%.
And my theory is your weaknesses are your strengths on steroids. For example,
think about that one.
Here's an example of that. I am extremely creative and I see pieces and pieces and pieces and things everywhere.
Yep.
I will hear every word that you say and I'll understand each meaning that word has because part of humor is surprise. And so I see that very quickly and very easily now.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't surprise me that I am hard to focus and disorganized because that's the same skill, just using it for evil.
That's true. That is true.
I can usually find the exact opposite of what somebody's superpower is and say, well, I bet you have trouble doing this. Oh yeah, I do. How'd you know? and it's the thing about one of the things about humor is as much as we are these wonderful, unique beings, we're very predictable. And you can predict what somebody will do in certain situations. And that's all, humor is a benign violation of a norm that surprises you.
Oh my gosh.
And if I take where you're going, what you're thinking about, and I use a word that twists that, a phonetic ambiguity, I call it a two-way option, and I use it in a different meaning, then all of a sudden it creates laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the predictability of being able to create humor. Is the prey, seeing a psychic store, like a storefront, psychic readings,
Yeah.
closed, blah, blah, blah. They should have seen that coming, and those are things where I see all those possibilities about, oh, that's a business gone. Most people are like, oh, poor guy, COVID got him too, whatever it is. But it's like, I'll see the twist on it that creates the thing that creates laughter. Surprise creates humor. It creates anger.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yep.
And
like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. And that's why it's a fine line between tragedy and comedy.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think that is very helpful for people that are kind of going on their own. And if I know something that is going to bother you, that you'll discover, for example, I'm not super organized. So if you are very linear and logical, if you're the type of person that goes step 1, 2, 3, ABC, if I look at your closet, it's lined up from light to dark, Campbell's soup cans, all in alphabetical order. You are going to listen to me talk and be, if I did an hour-long seminar or something, you're going to be confused. If I tell you in the beginning that, is anybody here, who here is super, super organized? Step 1, 2, 3, ABC, blah, blah, blah. Okay. To you, I apologize because I'm not. I'm the person that in the middle of talking goes squirrel and off I go.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Now, I'm very coachable though. So if at any time today I go off on a tangent and you get pulled away, just raise your hand and say squirrel, and I'll come right back to where we were. Do we have a deal? And when I do that, I never have a problem. Because when I started doing seminars, well, he's kind of disorganized. He didn't stick to the book, blah, blah, blah. So if I explain that in the beginning and I tell people my experience with seminars from college is that we listened to the professor's experience and then we read the book afterward. Mm-mm. You didn't come here for me to read to you, did you? Because you have the workbook. I'm going to leave that for you guys to use as a learning on your own. If there's any blanks in there, I'll fill them. I'll make sure we do that. But otherwise, it's going to be, because your problems might not be in the book. So I want to solve your problems today. Are we okay with that? Everybody okay? Never got a complaint about being disorganized. It was very, very innovative. Then it became innovative, Mm-hmm. And pre-calling the problem makes it almost disappear in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Raising those objections in advance. And are we done here? Like, I don't want to go over our time, but I had a couple more things I wanted to touch on, but we don't have to.
No, you're okay. Throw those couple more things. Okay. I'm going to ask you. I have one last question.
Okay.
That I'm going to ask you that out of curiosity, and maybe somebody else can get some. If anybody wants to come in here, you can come in there. If you see this later, put some questions in the comments, and I will make sure if it's a question for Teresa that she gets the question and can answer it for you. But what do you got? What do you got?
Well, I want to say you have, like a comedian in general, stand-up comedy, are very great observers. They're observers of human behavior. You're observers of the word, the spoken. So observation is one of your superpowers. So I love that. Whereas those of us that are not in that realm or that way of thinking miss a lot of things because we're not observing. We're not observant like you are. So I love that. And you talked about creating humor, and you also referenced my giggle gathering. So I want to kind of bring these together. So I have a giggle gathering once a month. I try to keep it as close to the beginning of the month as possible, just to start the month off, on a positive, high energy. Laughing, as you well know, is so good for our different, mind, body, soul. It's good for our immune system. I don't have to go into that with you, but I don't see myself as humorous, funny, like you create humor. I don't. I come at it from a different perspective, a different angle. I can set up the circumstances in the container for people to let their guard down and be vulnerable and laugh and get goofy and silly. And I can facilitate people, giving them permission to just kind of, again, be silly, whereas you are creating humor. So I kind of feel like we're trying to come to the same and similar results, but we're coming at it from different ways of getting there. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think you've latched onto something that's really something I talk about. I do a couple of presentations. One is, funny is the honey that makes your message stick. It's also the biggest advantage that you have in life is the ability to create laughter, because what laughter is instant rapport, likability, and trust.
Yep.
And subconsciously, all we're doing, I love this name. I've heard somebody call it the critter brain, which basically is trying to keep us alive. So when you approach a stranger and like you say, hey, can I ask you a question? That the response that most people have when you do that,
Exactly. Yeah.
they pull back and they lower their chin. That's the whole part of our body. Well, what happens when you laugh? You throw your head back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there, I trust you so much that I'm showing you this, right? And what study after study after study is done with humor when they're looking at it in the workplace, if you are like, if we worked side by side, and if you say you're not funny and you think that I'm funny, well, the people in the workplace will think that I do a better job than you. That's not the scientific proof that whether it's true or not. Now, here's the thing, and what you've touched on is the great equalizer right there. You don't have to be as funny as me. You just have to create moments where you have to attempt laughter, and you come up almost as high as I do in the eyes of your fellow workers. The people that don't try at all are way down the list. They don't. People that are funny but inappropriately, are the lowest of all.
I'm sure they are, and well, they should be.
And so, for example, facilitating the giggle gathering, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to equate that like sending an email with a cartoon at the bottom. You are creating the laughter, but you are. So you're creating the laughter, but it's not your humor. It's somebody else's.
Correct.
There's enough silly cat videos to create. The value of humor is immeasurable, even for the unfunny. And you can have a great sense of humor and not be funny. So as long as you're easy to laugh, you get almost as much credit as I do. And so it's not people. Oh, I want this funny. I want that. And when people give presentations, you want to have humor in your presentation because it makes it so much more memorable. But there's no pressure on you to be funny. It's like, oh my God, it's silly cat video time. And I know a guy that presents, and every 5 to 10 minutes, he'll say, do you know what time it is? And they'll go, oh, it's like 8:17. No, it's silly cat video time. And he does that throughout his presentation, which becomes funny in and of itself, because he calls back to it. And then the audience, it's cat video time. No, it's 9:42. You can use
that's fun.
and I love taking people's presentations and putting that in there. There was a woman that came to me with like 400 slides that she couldn't change one, because I have a common thing. I can make any presentation funnier, right? Come talk to me and I'll do it. And she goes, well, I do this. I think it was an OSHA presentation. 400 slides. And I said, you can't take stuff out. Can you put stuff in? I guess, but why would I want to do that? We took her vacation videos with like her husband in different places around the world. And every 5th slide, here's Ralph in Turkish Caicos. So in Turkish Caicos, I think it's called. Here he is, and every 5th slide. So then after about 50 slides, don't put one. Then what happens? People raise their hand and go, where did Ralph go? Right? And so these people that never watch her presentation are now watching the presentation.
Oh, that is fun.
So creating these interesting moments in business, all humor is putting smiles on people's faces. You're not trying to get people to bust up with laughing, but if you create a genuine smile that gets up in, when these muscles go off, then you have created an instant friend.
Rapport, yes. Instant connection for sure. I love that.
Yeah, no pressure on you being funny, but you have a great sense of humor, so utilize that. Let somebody else do it. Let somebody else do it for you. Or
I love that. Thank you.
Facilitate the thing where people laugh and you get credit for it. You 100% get credit.
Thank you for pointing that out. Like I said, I feel like I'm giving them permission to laugh, generate laughter within themselves, and to know that I can use somebody else's, not that I wouldn't, but that's, I love that. not that I was dismissing what I do. I just thought it was interesting that we come to it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
But again, the end result is still the same, pretty much.
The different branch of the same army.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that people study humor. They study laughter. They study happiness. They study, like something that should be so innate and organic for us. There's research around it, which kind of gives credibility to what we're doing innately, but it just always kind of cracks me up that people study that and research it. And
Well, is that because I'm just thinking, kind of going back to what you said earlier today, does that make that it basically is proof of superpower? So there's scientific proof of, and I'm sure people have studied superpower.
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. Yeah. So we've gone all over the place, haven't we?
Absolutely.
I love that. Love that we follow the breadcrumbs.
There we go. And the question that I had for you is really, what is a giggle gathering?
So a giggle gathering is, again, just a time where people can get together, connect through shared laughter, shared silliness. As we said, it does create a special bond. So even if you're total strangers, by the time you're done laughing together, you have this special connection. As you said, the trust factor is there. You could see them again across the room and make eye contact, and you'd kind of like, oh yeah, like do some silly gesture, something like, that you had this shared experience of laughter. So giggle gathering, and the way I've created it, is a virtual experience, half hour, where I just kind of offer exercises. So I'm trained in laughter yoga.
Okay.
Laughter yoga is a practice that was created, I bet almost 30 years ago, by a doctor in India who was researching laughter and found all of these awesome benefits. So he decided he would go out and try to get people on board the laughter train, basically, so that they could create these chemicals within in their body and reap the benefits. So again, that was like almost 30 years ago, and it's still going strong. It's a worldwide, global train. I like to call it a laughter train. So I take those components and I take how I've been trained, and I offer these exercises because we can laugh on our own. We can laugh at a comic. We can laugh at funny cat videos, but I guess this is an opportunity to kind of create that for ourselves by doing silly things, So anyway, there's breathing. There's an element of breathing and just, getting your diaphragm moving. And so there's a couple other little elements I like to add: movement, and in person, I love adding music and silly dances and stuff. So I've done it in person. I've done it for varying lengths of time. So this is my first real consistent attempt virtually, with everybody looking at each other in little rectangles.
Yeah.
But so far it's been so much fun.
Well, it's one of the things that you bring up with you can do so much stuff through the little green dot, because that's my computer, has a little green dot by the camera.
Yeah.
And it's totally different than live. I know a lot of speakers who are exceptional live speakers that are not very good on Zoom. And it's the things that you do to create this comfort. There's little things like, if you have, there's people that have two cameras, and like your face could be sitting over here. So I talk all day long to you right there. Mm-hmm. Well, I know that I have to look at the camera really to connect.
Yes.
These show confidence and trust. Your hands do. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that they'll say, show us your hands, because they don't trust you when they can't see your hands. Mm-hmm. What happens in Zoom all the time? Our hands are down here.
Yeah.
I just kind of teach myself to speak with my hands higher, because like your thumbs are a confident part of your body. There's a reason that politicians do this. It's not that they have DNA that raises this thumb. Some spin doctor has said, when you show your thumbs, people are confident. That shows you're confident. People like to hire confident people or elect confident presidents. So these are things that you pick up. We didn't know when it started. We know now. And those are things that really make a big difference. It's really, so laughter is completely different because so often our cameras are off. And that's the other thing, people turn your cameras on at meetings. We don't care if your cat walks across the video. We don't care.
Or you're eating or
we don't care about that. One is the connection. You want connection. So for example, laughter now if you have a big meeting and there's all these little tiny squares all over your screen, laughter, if you get that, that's like hearing that's like a huge laugh, right? You get somebody's head to go back like that. And you can teach people to be more, just like in person, like if you ask specific people specific questions in a live meeting, everybody sits up straighter because they might call on you. Same thing works. If you laugh and I see that motion, I go, see, Teresa gets it. Everybody looks at you. Oh, Teresa's laughing. She gets it. I want to be like Teresa. I want to get it. So there's this need for that. And that's when I was talking about the predictability of humans. Those are things that really I've done a lot of study on influence. And when I talk about some of these things, people say, isn't that manipulation? And get ready for the name drop. The last time I talked with Dr. Cialdini, he was asked that very same question. And what really the difference, and I kind of boiled his answer down into like one or two short sentences, because that's what I do. It's the intent of the speaker. So the actual act of influence and manipulation is the same thing. It's the same skill. The intent of the speaker. If I'm doing it for the good of you, that's influence. If I'm doing it for the good of me, then it's manipulation. But don't you need to know what it looks like? So I think influence is an amazing thing to study and to get your superpowers known to people, because you have to create interest in them. And in order to be interesting, you have to be interested in them.
Yes.
And that's when they start listening to you. Wow, it's like he's talking to me as if he's known me for years. Well, we kind of walked in the, that's what people are in their own heads instead of the shoes of the people they're talking to.
Oh, yeah. Again, there we come back around to that stuff going on in our head that is not serving us in any way, Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, now's the time that we will wrap this thing up. And it's been a pleasure. I hope that when it kind of boils through that the crackling in the beginning it isn't insurmountable to people, because it's been a great conversation. Great things to say. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You're very, very
for sure
interesting and fun, and that's a great combination in this world. So tell people how they can get a hold of you if they want to again.
Okay, you can find me on LinkedIn. I hang out there a lot. YouTube, I have that YouTube channel with my Evolving Women series there. Facebook, and I'm going to be showing up on Pinterest more, so I will be there as well. And the Giggle Gathering, I would give a date, but depending on when people see this. So you can find that event on LinkedIn. I need to post it more on Facebook, but again, it's close to the 1st that I can get it. I do know the upcoming one is on the 2nd, so it's not always on the exact same day. So that's a little bit confusing for people, but yeah. So just search for Giggle Gathering, see what comes up.
Yeah.
Or connect with me, DM me, message me, and I will give you details on that.
And if you are an entrepreneur that is looking to maybe jumpstart your holiday season because you think, oh, nobody's going to do this and nobody's buying that because it's holiday season, I'm still doing the $1 Million Challenge. The QR code above Teresa is the link to join. and be happy to have you there. We don't have the 100 people that I'm hoping for yet, but we've done 6 figures worth of extra business from the we've done so far. So it is working. It's a program that I'm going to run next year, and I'm going to charge a heck of a lot more than $97 to do the same types of things. I'm also going to, any of the founding fathers of this thing are going to get a tremendous deal on next year's version of it with that too. So it's simple steps. I'm not going to say easy, but it's simple steps to create a lot of interest around what you do. And it's based on some of the things that we talked about today, where you connect with friends and people buy from friends. And how do you create that feeling of familiarity and that comfort level that you can use to, all you're looking is the ability to show your personality. They can take it from there. And that's what this is about. It's not about selling things. It's about rekindling old friendships and working with the people that you've always wanted to work, and creating your own client Mount Rushmore, and dealing with the ideal people, and you being selective in doing that rather than taking whatever comes. Right.
Yeah.
So
love that.
we create that. We're in charge of that. We create that. So love to have you in there and do that. And I will be here next week with another guest. Thanks so much. Check out Teresa, and we will see you all next week at 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Ray. Bye-bye, everybody.